Hey there, everybody. Now, I don't know how many of you are like me in that you like to play in the shadows a little bit more, try to create different shapes and stuff like that, either on your walls or on your subjects, just to make the photo a little bit more interesting, you know, try to bring a little bit more life to your portraits. So what I ended up doing a lot of the time was taking chunks of foam core and just cutting pieces out of them just to create little shapes and things like that that I could cast with my lighting. Now, this has habitually been a pretty big pain in the ass. If you want to change the size of it, you either have to cut a whole new slot or adjust the distance between this and your subject, which also in turn means moving all your stands, your lighting, everything like that. Just a little bit chaotic. But I have found a completely clean, super easy way to take care of all of this now. Enter this, StrobePro's new Optical Snoot. Now, what makes this different than your typical everyday regular snoot is the fact that this is optical, meaning that you can take any Canon EF mount lens and you can mount it to the front of this snoot, which allows you to zoom the actual shape itself, making it bigger and or smaller, as well as focus it so that you can adjust how sharp it is on the image, if you want it to have softer edges or harder edges, things like that. It just makes it so easy to control where your shapes are hitting and how they're actually hitting onto your subject and or your background. Now, the way that this works is it actually comes with all of these little pre-cut shapes that you can drop into the filter. So you end up with different things like this, which is boxed, looks like a window. This here, which is a diagonal shape, much like blinds, different things like that. This one here, which is a nice little slit of light, something like what this would have been. And what it does is it goes into this holder. So how it works is you take whatever shape you would like, drop it into the holder, then take the whole piece, drop it into the actual snoot, then mount this to your light. The light fires through, fires to the shape, fires to the lens, right onto your subject. And one of my favorite parts about this digital snoot is the fact that when the mount is inside the actual snoot itself, you can still rotate it. It's in there with a pressure mount, but you can spin it because it's on a circular disc. Now, what that allows me to do is if I've got something like, say, the slit of light or the window or the blinds, anything like that, anything that's got a hard edge to it, I can turn this and adjust it so that, you know, if I want it straight up and down or if I want it a little bit angled, anything like that, I don't have to go and turn the entire snoot or change the light, anything like that. I can just go in, rotate this, makes life so much easier when you're trying to fine tune exactly how you want the light to fall on your subject or background. So now that you guys know what this is and how it works, I'm gonna take you through some behind the scenes from a shoot that I did yesterday to show you how I use this and actually what it's capable of. So laptop. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you are using an optical snoot is the fact that you are mounting lenses to the front of this. So the more that you zoom, the tighter the image is going to be, the smaller the projection is going to become. The wider, obviously, the wider the projection is going to become. What that means is the longer the lens that you have, the tighter the shape will be, the wider the lens you have, the wider the shape will be. And I'll take you guys through a couple of quick examples of what this looks like with an 8200 on it versus a 24 right now. Now, when I'm out shooting outside, or if I'm out shooting in an area that's got lots of windows, different things like that, I always look for different and interesting light that's coming through random spaces. What I wanted to do with this is see if I could create that natural light feel as if there was, you know, sunlight beaming through, coming through windows, coming through little slits, different things like that, but create it in the studio using the different shapes that were provided with this modifier. So with the first image, what I ended up doing was placing the light just slightly to the left of the model. The reason for that is I wanted the light to come in, hit the wall, and then just slide across her face and body much like it would if she was kind of angling off of a window. Then I took a piece of white foam core and I just bounced the light that was coming from the front studio windows back towards the model just to fill in the shadows a little bit, kind of drop down the contrast a little so that it felt a little bit more natural. Now with this shot, I was shooting with my 80 to 200 millimeter lens, and I was shooting at probably around the 150 millimeter focal length, something like that. Just it tightens up the shadows that are hitting it, makes it feel more like she's standing in front of a window with blinds on it. I just wanted to see if I could kind of create that effect without actually having a window there. Then from there, without actually changing anything, not the distance of the light, not where it was placed, nothing, we put a 24mm lens on there. And as you can see, it completely changes the feel of this image. Now it went from these really tight lines that were kind of going across our model's face and chest to kind of taking over the entire image and just creating really cool shadows that creep up the floor and down the walls and everything like that. It's a completely different feel to the image, and all we did was change from essentially 150mm down to 24mm, and it gave me a completely different look and feel to the image. Now with this next one, I wanted it to feel like she was in front of a giant window, so I used the boxed frame drop-in. Now for this shot on the Optical Snoot, I had a 50mm lens. Now again, I was looking for a very specific shape to the window kind of effect itself, and the 80-200 was just too long, the 24 was too wide, so I went with a 50. So again, what focal length you have on this Optical Snoot does make a difference. Now secondary to my main light, which is the Optical Snoot, I did have a large deep umbrella acting as a fill. Now this light was placed probably about 5 feet behind the actual key light itself, and it's just helping to fill in the shadows and again, bring the contrast down a little bit and just give it more of that natural light feel. If she was standing in front of a large window, there would be a lot of natural light bouncing around and kind of filling in those shadowed areas. So I wanted to mimic that as closely as possible, but you know, keeping it simple. So this is what that ended up looking like. And for this last image, I ended up using the slit modifier. And honestly, this is probably going to be the most used drop-in that I currently have for the Optical Snoot. I just really love the way the little strips of light fall on people, fall on backgrounds, different things like that. So for this image, I just put it so she had a little strip of light coming down the side of her face, kind of highlighting the eye and coming down the cheek. Then I took another large, deep umbrella with a diffusion panel and I brought it in from the other side. And it's not acting so much as a fill, more or less these lights are just kind of complementing each other. So the slit of light is bringing attention to the eye, to the cheek, everything like that. But then the large umbrella is creating shape in the face and the fur, everything like that. Rather than using one as a main and the other as a fill, these are just, I tried to combine them just to create an image that was a little bit more dynamic, something that just caught your attention a little bit more. And I'm super happy with the way this turned out. And there you guys have it. Just a quick review of the new StrobePro Optical Snoot. Now I should say that this video is in no way sponsored. StrobePro has not paid me to say anything about this. They have not commissioned me to make this video, anything like that. This is just something that solved a problem that I was having. So I thought I would inform you guys. If it's something that it solves a problem that you guys are having as well, perfect. Now, with the drop-in filters, there's currently 4 of them that are available. I don't know how many are actually coming out. The last that I spoke to Jesse, he was saying that there are going to be more filters on the way. They might be here already. I'm not sure, depending on when this video actually drops. That being said, they are just machined metal. It's just essentially a piece of thin metal that's been machine cut out. So if you do know anybody that can do this kind of thing, or if you can do it yourself, the ability to customize different shapes to suit exactly what it is that you're looking for is kind of limitless, which again, just makes this such an easy to use and clean package that it's one of these things where it's going to become a very much of a staple in my kit. It allows for things that currently would have taken a lot more time to set up and just streamlined it, which like anything is just, it's fantastic. And with that, thank you guys so much for being here. All of the images that you saw were graded using my custom presets. I'll link them down in the description below. You can check them out if you wish. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You guys know what to do. You've been around YouTube for a long time, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.